Howdy, guys, and welcome to episode 163 of the Fi Guys podcast. This is a part 2 episode. So if you didn't listen to part 1, episode 162, funny how numbers work, right? Go back and take a listen to that one before you listen to this one. It'll make a whole lot more sense. But if you've already listened to that episode, let's get right into the part 2 episode. Welcome to the Fi Guys podcast, the show where we dive deep into the world of financial independence and personal finance. Whether you're just starting out on your journey or well on your way to financial freedom, we've got the insights and strategies you need to achieve your financial goals.
In each episode, we'll provide actionable tips and real-life success stories to inspire and guide you on your path to financial independence. So, grab your notepad and get ready to transform your financial future with the Fi Guys podcast. Let's get started. The Fi Guys is a podcast dedicated to providing general information and insights on a wide range of wealth-related topics. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests and do not constitute personalized financial advice.
The content provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be considered a substitute for professional financial advice. Your financial situation and goals are unique, and the information provided here may not be applicable or suitable for your specific circumstances.
We, the host and the guests of the Fi Guys, are not acting as your financial advisor. We are not aware of your individual financial situations, risk tolerance, or investment objectives. Any decisions or actions you take based on the information provided on this podcast are your own and made at your own risk. I may be a financial advisor, but I am not your financial advisor. And now that the lawyers are happy, let's get started. Most people think that they need a better strategy, when what they really need is less friction in life. Dominic, you already touched upon it. Too many people, they are creating friction in their money. And they realize, then they ask the question, like, why is this so hard? It's because you are creating all of these things that you can automate it, you can systematize it, you can get money out of the way so you can focus on what matters most. When money feels systematized, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stopped reacting emotionally to money, and you free up mental space for what matters most in life. Automation isn't about being lazy. It's about being intentional. It's about making decisions once so you can really focus on what matters most. Too many people that I know stress about money silently, or they stress about money just straight up in the open. And then when you ask them, well, what are you going to do about it? How are you trying to set up things so that you don't have to stress about it? And they go, I don't know. I don't do anything. And then they perpetuate the cycle over and over and over again. Dom, what are some ways people could maybe get themselves out or at least get started in systematizing?
Yeah, I mean, a basic budget, right? You got to start somewhere. And how much are you making and how much is going out? How much is coming in? How much is going out? I don't think it can be any more basic than that. I think that's probably the best standpoint. Once we have that going, well, then maybe we can kind of go on from there. There's a bunch of different apps that, like budgeting apps like Monarch, Long Live Mint. It may rest in peace. That was my favorite one. It closed down. Very sad about that. Maybe I should have got the premium subscription to help out the guys over there. My bad. That one's on me. But no, like definitely researching what apps and just tools you can kind of use. I mean, we live in such a beautiful age where AI and technology can really help you organize your finances and take a look at things and make sure things are, you're not getting overcharged and you're not getting scammed and all these different things, but also to really get a better picture of what's actually going on with your money. And I think that's part of the main problem with people today is they have no idea what's going on with their money. It's just one big mess. And hopefully with the rise of AI and whatnot, the rise of financial tools and tech and whatnot, people can start to use those more often to get a better picture. Because once we can kind of see clearer, then we can start to move in the right direction. Because I feel like if you don't know the direction or the goal you want to go in, any direction you do go in is the wrong direction. So it's definitely about clarity for me, and definitely finding an app that really suits with your goals so that you can kind of get a better picture, better clarity on what's going on financially in your life.
I 100% agree with you. I think that one of the biggest things that hold people back from knowing what next step is that they don't have any clarity. Why do you think that so many people are afraid to get that clarity?
I mean, a lot of people are just afraid to open up their bank account. right? They fear the unknown. They fear the fear. It's like Winston Churchill said, right? The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And for the longest time, I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And then as I kind of grew up a little bit more, I started making money and I said I had to start paying the freaking power bill and like the water bill and all these different bills. I'm like, man, I don't want to check it, man. I don't know what's in there. Might be $100, might be $1,000, might be 10,000. I don't know. I don't want to check it, right? I'm afraid to check it. Uh, it's the honest truth, right? But you have to get over that fear, right? Nobody else is at the helm of your ship. Only you can be at the helm of your ship, right? Unless you're in like some kind of conservatorship, I wouldn't recommend, right? Um, Definitely would recommend. It's a joke for those who don't know, but no, nobody's coming to save you, right? You have to save yourself, and that's a beautiful thing because it means that you're the captain of your ship and you can choose what direction to go in. You just have to take the first step and stop waiting for the perfect time to start because there is no perfect time to start because most fools, what they have in common is that they're getting ready to start. Don't do that. Just start. It's going to be imperfect. It's going to be messy. It's going to be maybe even a little nasty when you open up the bank account. Like, where did all my money go? That's where it starts, right? You gotta get boots on the ground some way, somehow, sometime.
Yeah, I think back to we had a viewer mailbag where someone wrote in and they said like, it came time in their life where they couldn't keep on running from the problem and hiding from it. And when they looked at their budget, they're like, wow, this is really bad. Like we aren't going to be able to make it. And even in that, they were like, at least I know. Like at least I know and now can make decisions. Too many people, we want to live in this fantasy land. The fantasy land of everything's good, it's fine. Like my checking account still looks the same. Don't look at my credit cards, but my checking account's still the same. So I want to sit here. But we need to deal with reality as it is. We can't live in this illusion that we set for ourselves or this, schizophrenic crazy land that we live in to say like it's easier if I live in this place rather than living reality because reality is scary. Reality is hard.
And it's kind of funny. Um, Back when I was afraid of opening up my bank account, right? How silly is that too, by the way? It's like, come on, it's not a Bengal tiger. But back when I was really struggling with it's like, hey Dom, like you have to check these things weekly, right? You have to check these things often. And I was like, I don't want to check. I don't want to check. I don't want to check. I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I used to tell myself, um, listen, you're going to check your account. We're going to check it right now. And listen, if you open it up and you're negative $2 million, I'll let you be mad. I'll let you be sad. If you're in the hole like a huge amount, like negative, like if there's negative $1,000 in your account, it's like, all right, then you can be sad, right? And then, I'd check my account. Obviously, I would put it at a number where I know it's not possible. I know there's no way, like I'm going to be negative $2 million, right? And I'd be like, oh, it's not negative $2 million. I'm actually sitting up. We're doing fine. This is actually great. And it was a way for me to like frame it in a way that's like, oh my God, this is gonna be the worst thing you've ever done. And actually, Chris Voss talks a little bit about this, anchoring the conversation in his book, Never Split the Difference, where he'll like go up to, you know, like someone at the checkout line at, when he's checking in for a hotel. And he's just like, listen, I'm about to make your life so difficult. Is there any way I can get an upgrade room? And it's like, oh wow. It's like, oh, I thought you were gonna say like, you know, you drove a car through, you hit 4 cars in the parking lot, something crazy, right? But for me, it was a matter of reframing it. And that really helped me get over my fear of the fear of checking my account. And now it's like I check it, it's like, oh, cool, yeah, I know what's going on. It's no issue. I don't have any surprises anymore. And most of life's troubles can actually be solved by reframing it. I don't want to ask that girl out. It's like, well, hey, dude, there's a guy in the hospital dying right now. Could be you. And she, you only have now. So it's like, might as well go now. So definitely make sure to like reframe things as much as you possibly can in order to push yourself to be more and face those fears. Cause as we know, fear is actually not real. It's just in the mind. It's just in the mind, guys. Danger, very real. Yeah, very real. Very real. Danger is a very real thing. Fear, not as real. Right? Big difference between, you know, being scared of tigers and being face to face with a tiger. Big difference. Big difference. One will kill you. One will not. But yes, I pass my microphone back to you, stepping off my soapbox.
What I found a lot of people do is they avoid the reality because they're afraid of it. But sometimes with either with a person or with a family member or with the ability to finally come to the moment where I need to do this myself, whatever that reason is, once someone finally gets the reality, they finally see like, okay, this is the reason that I'm struggling. I get it. The next choice as to what to do is 100% clear. Like you can ask them like, okay, what do you do next? They're like, oh, I need to do this. Like I know it now. So most people, when they hear about optimization, they hear about the systems. Like, I don't even know what systems to set up. I don't know how to do those 4 steps that you guys already talked about. I don't know how to do any of it. It's like, okay, what are you missing? And what they say is, I don't know what I'm missing. But what they're really missing is clarity. Once they get that clarity, once they get the courage to look at it, the next step becomes extremely obvious. So I want to talk about some common objections that people typically have around the systems, around the optimization. Because when people hear about optimization, a few fears usually come up. So I want to address them head on. The first thing that I hear when I talk about optimization from people is, I don't want to lose control. I'll lose control of my money if the systems are set up. When in truth, the systems create control because you're in charge of the systems. But I think people hear systems are setting it up and they're thinking some benevolent AI God is going to be doing it. But in truth, you're the one setting it up and you can destroy them at any time. Systems create control for you where you think, oh, I have to go in there and I have to press the button. I have to look at my checking account and I have to move the money. I have to press the pay button. And if I don't, I lose control. But in reality, you're losing control in that way because you can't be 100% in every different area all the time. But your systems, the computers, they can. They're way better at automating tasks than we are. And now that we have AI, people can finally see like, oh yeah, okay, this is way better than I could ever be in my life.
100%. I know a lot of people. I don't know how much you're online, Chris.
Not much.
Um, how much? No, you would be very surprised about how many people hate AI. You'd be very surprised. Um, I learned about this the other day because I was asking my community, like, hey, like, what can I do better as a channel? And like all these different things. And one of the things that I thought was so interesting was one of my moderators, for the one of the discords that I have. He was saying, I showed your channel to one of my friends. I was like, awesome. And he's like, the first thing he said was, oh, his thumbnails are all AI. And I'm like, difference doesn't make. They're cool photos. Like, but why does that matter? And like 3 or 4 other people were like, yeah, we don't like AI. And I was like, really? This is the hill you guys are dying on? And I was like, okay. Um, I'll try and shoot for less AI photos. First thing I do, or less AI thumbnails. First thing I do is like, ChatGPT, we need to make thumbnails that are less AI. Don't let them suspect anything. Um, but I think it's interesting. AI is very powerful. It's very interesting and it's very useful. But make sure that you're not using it on a surface level. Because oftentimes it will just agree with you. It's like, ChatGPT, am I good with money? You are good with money. Thank you, ChatGPT. Like, it's a terrible use of terrible use of AI. Um, think of oftentimes think of the AI as a people pleaser, right? It wants to make you happy and it'll go along with damn near anything. So make sure that you're giving it questions that are forcing it to get to the correct answers. I think part of the biggest issue with not just AI, but with all of us is knowing what questions to ask. It's not even the answers so much as the questions. And that's really part of this year. Actually, one of my goals is to learn more about asking the right questions and trying to figure out what questions do I not even know to ask yet. Like the answers aren't even the problem yet. It's the question, right? And I guess it's what questions aren't we asking ourselves when it comes to money? And why aren't we automating it immediately? What's stopping you? Something you guys
Most
got that.
likely the fear of I'm going to lose control. And then the
Exactly.
next thing I hear, like after that, is all right. We get past that. The system creates control. The next thing they say is, "Well, Chris, what if something changes?" And then again, systems can be adjusted. All things can be adjusted, and that's one of the nicest things I like about financial independence is we know what the path is. We just have to walk it every single day. And yeah, things are going to change. We had a viewer mailbag once where someone talked about it took them like 20 years to get to some point. And they talked about all of these different moments of like my kid was born and then they got sick and this happened and this happened. And every way along the way, they adjusted the plan as life changed. Just because you come up with a system once, it does not mean it is the definitive system that's going to last forever. Too many people don't get started because they need the definitive system that will last forever. But in order to do that, that means you have to know everything that's going to happen from now to eternity, and you will never will. If you did, you'd be God, and we would be having a very different discussion. Be asking you a lot of questions right now.
Yeah.
Systems can be adjusted. All things in life can be adjusted. Again, you are in control of the systems. If something changes, we update, and I guarantee you that something will change. And that something that can change will either be for the positive or for the negative. And either way, it can be adjusted quite easily. The amount of times I've had people say, "Oh, I can't I can't automate my credit cards because what if I don't have the money in the checking account?" Well, we have some bigger issues there. Why you don't have money in the
Yeah.
checking account? But even if that was the case, we can go ahead and change it. We can change it for that one time to not have it be the full statement balance. You could have it be the minimum that one time. But then again, you want that to be automated. You want that to have to be the decision you have to make rather than the decision to be, should I pay it or not? And I kind of think of when you see a lot of vending machines, a Coke and a Pepsi machine, they'll often be put together. And you'll be thinking to yourself, why would Coke or why would Pepsi put their stuff next to Coke or why would Coke put their stuff next to Pepsi? It's because if you see a single stand sitting there of Coke, people will be like, should I get a Coke? But the decision is now made when you see a Coke and a Pepsi. Do I get a Coke or do I get a Pepsi? Either way, one of them wins. When they stand alone, maybe they'll win, maybe they won't. So that's what we need to do with ourselves. We need to be able to create systems that get ourselves to ask the question in the right way that's going to automate the behavior that we need. Anything on um, what if something changes, Dominic?
You know, everything will change. You know, 10 years ago, it was not what it is today. 5 years ago, it wasn't what it is today. Everything will change, and you have to be okay with change. And you got to be like the jellyfish, you know? They go with the tide. The reason that they've lived for so long isn't because they're these geniuses. They're so smart. They're brilliant. No, actually, they're not that smart. Um, Not much going on in that brain, actually, at all. But what they do is they change quickly. They're very adaptable. And that's something we can learn from the jellyfish, besides their immortal behaviors. Um, but they're very adaptable to change. And that's something that we as humans have to be better at. Too often do we let fear control our lives when fear only exists in the mind and it's spread amongst the humans, right? Fear can be a very powerful thing, a very powerful motivator. It can also be a very powerful limiter. So we got to always make sure that we're checking fear at the door and making sure that the fear is serving its purpose, right? When I step on a bridge, am I scared that I might fall off? Do I have a fear of heights? Well, it's a very rational fear. If I fall, I will die 100%, right? But, and that one's serving me. But the fear of opening my bank account, that's not serving me. That's not serving me at all, actually. In fact, it's doing a disservice. So we got to make sure that we have these fears in check.
Speaking of adaptability, I think a lot of people, when they think of like Darwin, they think of, only the strongest will survive. The strongest and the wisest survive. But in truth, he said the one that will survive is the one that's most adaptable. If you look at basically all places on Earth, There are human beings there. We're not in the bottom of the ocean and we're not in like lava. But other than that, we are pretty much everywhere. And there is no other animal on earth that has done that, with the exception of us. We all come from a line of individuals that were adaptive, that adapted over and over and over again to be able to survive. So remember that you have the ability to adapt. The only thing holding you back is yourself. The final thing that I hear when people talk about automation and the common objective is, well, Chris, I think I should just be more disciplined. If I was more disciplined, this wouldn't be a problem at all. Discipline is unreliable. Discipline is amazing. And discipline is not consistent in any way, shape, or form. How many of us have said, hey, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to go running, I'm going to do it, it's going to go great. Maybe you did it once, maybe you didn't do it at all. But the discipline that you have in that moment is not consistent. It won't be there forever. Discipline and motivation are two very different things. And a good system doesn't trap you, it supports you. It supports your ability for when your discipline waxes or wanes, that you have the ability to continue to follow through. Dom, I know that you and I are both big guys on discipline, so I'm sure you have some thoughts on this one.
Listen, I'm a big discipline guy. I love discipline. One of the things that we kind of talked about a few episodes back was that discipline at its core is self-trust. And the more you build discipline, the more disciplined you are in the actions that you do, the more evidence you have that you are a disciplined person that then supports your overall objective. And that the more you do something, the more efficient your brain gets at doing that thing, right? The first time waking up at 4 a.m, go for a run is a lot more difficult than the 50th time. Granted, the 50th time will still be hard, but it'll be a lot easier because the brain has gotten used to it. And I think that's part of the issue is we kind of just have to get going. We just got to get started. And that's really, at the end of the day, I mean, part of that's our biggest issue, right? It's getting started and the procrastination. And we really just have to take the first step and then take the next step and the next one. And you're going downhill, right? It's just going to snowball into something really great. And it's my belief that with the first step, everything becomes far more clear, far more clear. And the fear damn near evaporates on the first step. To be honest, like 90% of the fear is on that first step. And then the rest is just like, oh, why was I afraid again? No.
Yeah, when people say like I should be more disciplined, if I was more disciplined, this wouldn't be a problem. They look at other people that have their money stuff together and they think that the reason they have that is because they are disciplined. But in truth, it's because they have systems.
Yeah.
Their systems are set up to make them look disciplined. Even me, like Chris, like I don't know how you're able to save money every month from your check. It's because I'm not consciously doing it.
Yeah.
I made a conscious decision one time and now it just happens. And then you get to look at someone's investment account and be like, how did you do that? Yeah, it's because they just consistently did it over time without even having to think. There was no discipline. The discipline was only because the systems set it up for you.
And like James Clear said, we don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And that's why the systems are so important, right? When life gets chaotic, the systems are there to support you in your actions.
Yeah.
That's why this podcast is so important, this episode, because this is freeing you from headaches. And I mean, Chris, could you ever go back to like doing it manually and like, it's just, it'd be so much extra work, wouldn't it?
It'd be a lot more stress. Yes, and it would be a lot more work, but it'd be a lot more stress because life gets busy. Like kids, driving, family, all this stuff. And if I had to remember, like, oh, I have to log into this bank account on this day and do this or do that, and there's this bill on this day. I feel like every day I'm seeing money get pulled out of my account for different things. If I had to remember each one of those things, there's be no way. I'd have so many late fees. It'd be crazy. But you can systematize everything, especially when it comes to investing too. Like if I had to go into my account every single day and decide to press that buy button, there's going to be days where it's going to be up a lot or it's going to be down. And I'm going to be like, it's probably not worth it today. Tomorrow I'll do it. And then you fall off the wagon. But if you set up the system doesn't care if the market's up or down. The system is going to do what it's going to do over and over and over again. That is the beauty of this automation. It creates discipline when you don't have it. I want to give our audience members a simple starting point because if this all sounds overwhelming, there's really good news. You don't have to automate everything. We say it all the time, and James Clear said in his book, Atomic Habits, 1% better, the aggregation of marginal gains. So I would suggest and start with one automatic transfer, whether that be from your checking account to your savings account to your investment account, your checking account to your investment account. Setting up an automatic bill pay, setting up one account to be cleaned up, to look at it and say like, hey, what's going on in this thing? Small systems over time compound into big systems. You need to start messy. You need to get started, but God damn it, you just need to start. You need to start somewhere so that you can figure it out. And I can guarantee you that it's not going to be the right one when you get it done. But that's the nice thing is that systems can be adjusted. We never want to go out of it and stop entirely. We want to keep those muscles growing. We want to keep working at it. So I want to give us an action step for the week. I want you to create a decision-free payday. The goal this week isn't to optimize everything. It's not to optimize really anything. It's to remove one money decision from your life. So I want you to take an action. Pick one thing that happens every time you get paid and automate it. Then stop thinking about it entirely. So that means you can automate some transfer from your checking account to your savings account. You can automate a transfer to your spending account. You can automate a bill being paid or debt getting paid off. This works because it immediately reduces the mental load that you're dealing with every single day. It replaces willpower with design, intentional design that you created. And it reinforces the idea that money shouldn't run quietly in the background, or that money should run quietly in the background. If it happens every paycheck, it should not require a decision.
It's a good rule. I like that rule.
And I want you to remember to our listeners, like the goal isn't to optimize every dollar. It's to reclaim your attention on what matters most. Your money runs quietly in the background. You get to be more present with the things that actually matter. Because when money gets out of the way, you get back to living. And that's the goal of life, to get money out of the way so we can focus on what matters most. Because I guarantee you it's not the money. Dominic, would you like to close this out, or do you have any other final thoughts before we leave?
No, I think that's brilliant. I like the line that you said about if it happens every paycheck, or it happens every week, every month, right? That can be a simple automation, you know? And I feel like it's always those ones that add up to the mental load. It's never like, oh man, water bill, HOA, the electric. It's like, no. It's each one is just piling on. And it's always like that age old saying, the straw that broke the camel's back. Like it's not any of them individually, but together it weighs you down. It's like programs running in the background of a computer. It's like it's gonna bog your computer down eventually. And I can do this. I'm gonna automate one more thing. I'm gonna find something that hasn't been automated. I'm gonna automate the heck out of that thing. I think it's gonna get systematized like a motherfucker. That being said, please, please, please take Chris's advice on this, because as we say all the time, education without action is just entertainment.
Boom. First time.
Perfect. Love it. I love it. That being said, guys, I'm Dom. He's Chris. We'll see you guys back here on Monday. Thank you for holding with us for this 2-part episode. We really appreciate it. I hope that, maybe you didn't start right at the second part and then you forgot about the first part. Make sure that you listen to both parts. We would really appreciate that. And it would make a lot more sense. But yeah, we'll be back here on Monday. Hope you guys have a great weekend or a great week, depending on when you're listening to this. But Make sure to do those action steps, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Later.
Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.